What club was that at?
That was admit that a lot of people don't even realize they.
I've called her. She hasn't responded. I've called her more than a few times.
But the Zulu nation, I'm like, what the hell is this? I know nobody know what I'm talking about. You'll leave me on the island by myself. I don't know what the hell Bishop's talking about. That's what y'all do. Then after class, yeah, I knew what you were talking about. I just don't want to be caught out there. The hell is this? Get on my damn nerves. So read that again, 31.
Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless you. Hey, it's that time again. We need you to subscribe to the IUIC Phoenix YouTube page, all right? So make sure you go ahead and subscribe right now. We need your help. Shalom.
How you doing, brother? What's your name? Angel? AJ. All right. So what we've been going over is we're teaching our people who they are according to the Bible. You read the Bible a little?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. What do you know about the Bible?
Not much.
A little bit. Okay. Do you know who you are in the Bible? Don't? Okay. So on this side right here, if you look all the way to the left, this is going into. You have the nation of Israel. You heard of Moses leading the children of Israel out of Egypt? You know that much, right? So this is going into who the children of Israel are. Because the children of Israel have 12 tribes, right? Those tribes break down. This is going into the migration of how those tribes got to this side of the earth, right? Now, if you look over here, which one of these tribes would you come from? What's your nationality? When you go to a job application, what do you fill out?
Mexican-American Chicano.
Mexican-American Chicano. Okay, so you would come from Issachar on the bottom.
Right. That's right.
So I got a question for you because right there, the second one up, all the way down, second one up, Issachar.
That's right.
So before you were known as Mexicans, you heard of the Aztecas?
Yeah.
That's the same people, right? How did your name change from Mexican to Aztecas?
No idea. I'm Tarahumara in blood.
You said you're what?
Tarahumara.
What's that?
Tarahumara tribe in Chihuahua.
Okay, but still Mexico, right?
That's still Mexico. Right here, the Sierra Madre, right next to the Yaqui.
Right. So let me show you something real quick. I want to show you something. Get Deuteronomy 28 and verse 15.
Get out.
The book of Deuteronomy.
You said Mike? Come over real quick, Michael. Okay, Michael, check it out. Because what we're doing is we're talking to AJ about how the so-called Mexicans went from Aztecas, right? Because before you were known as Mexicans, you were known as Aztecas, right? You've heard of the Aztecas, the Azteca warriors, the nation?
Got him on my back.
Okay, so you know about it. You're well versed about it, right? So how did the Mexicans go from a thriving nation? They were a nation, they had their own empire, right? The Aztec Empire. But now, the Aztecs empire, it fell, right? So I'm going to show you something real quick. Read.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So the Bible says that it was going to come to pass. This was prophecy from Moses, right? AJ, we were talking earlier about how Moses led the children of Israel out of Egypt, right? So one of the prophecies that Moses prophesied to the nation of Israel, he said it shall come to pass. It's going to happen if what?
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
He said if we don't listen to the voice of our God, we find the voice of our God, the so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans in the Bible.
Right.
That's how we see God, right?
That's right.
God's not going to just speak to you and tell you things just randomly walking down the street.
Right.
If you do, I mean, you might have to check whether you're crazy or not.
Right.
The way that God talks to us is through his Bible, through his word, right? So it says, it shall come to pass if we don't hearken, if we didn't listen to the voice of our God. Read.
To observe and to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day.
God said, if you don't do what I told you to do, if you don't keep my commandments that I told you this day, read.
That all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
That all what?
All these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So Moses was prophesying. He told the children of Israel, if we didn't keep his commandments, that all these curses would come upon the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and they would overtake us, right? Go to verse 47.
48. Verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee.
So one of those curses in the same chapter, he said, therefore, because we didn't keep God's commandments, he said, we're going to serve our enemies. Got it? Go ahead and read it again.
Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger.
So God said if we didn't keep his commandments, he would send our enemies against us, right? And we would serve our enemies because we didn't want to serve God. Now it says in hunger, read.
And in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things.
So he said hungry. If you're hungry, say it again. He said if you're hungry, now when we used to go try to get food, right? How do we get food in old days? Back in the day.
Trade.
Huh?
Trade.
Trade, we would trade for it. Okay, how do we get food? How did we get food back in the day? Then we hunted, right? We didn't always go to Walmart. We didn't always go to Fry's. I couldn't go down the street, pop into a KFC. We had to hunt for it, right? Who gave us the animals that we were hunting? God did. But now that's not the case. Now we don't hunt anymore. We get Uber Eats. We sit at home, we get on a phone, and we're ordering Uber. We got lazy. We stopped depending on God, and now we depend and we serve our enemy.
Right.
Does that make sense? So he said in hunger, in thirst. When you're thirsty, we got Aquafina, you have Dasani, you have Fiji water. Now all of that is sold to you by who? Somebody's making money off of it, right? Because you go into that 76 and you pay for a bottle of water, somebody's making a profit.
Right.
It's not God giving it to you. God gave these things freely. Water was a free necessity of life that God gave us, right? But instead of serving God for water, for food, now we go to our enemy for these things. Because I'll tell you, you go in there and you buy a bottle of water, there's either somebody outside of this nation making a profit, whether it's the so-called white man that owns the company for Fiji, or a so-called Arab man. It's somebody outside of our nation that's making a profit for resources that God gave us.
Right.
So he said, because you didn't serve God, God said you're going to serve your enemies, and I'll let them give you your water. They'll give you your food. So now instead of having real food, we have GMOs, genetically modified organisms. You look at the food nowadays, it's all defiled. Half of it's not even real, right? You really think about it.
It's artificial.
It's artificial, it's not real. But we were serving our God for real food at one point. How did we get so far away from where we were to where we're at now?
Right.
We got lazy. We stopped seeking out God. We started trusting our enemy.
Bring it up.
Right? So he said, because you don't serve me, you're going to serve your enemy. Read.
And want of all things.
And want of all things. So when you want to find God, you're going to go to your enemy to find God, just like you went to your enemy for the food, the water, and everything else that you need. When you need a passport to go to another country, back in the day you would just go, right? Now you cannot leave your country without getting a permission slip from another nation.
That's right.
You ever really think about that?
Bring it up.
You cannot go into another country without someone else giving you a permission slip like a child.
Bring it up.
But you're a grown adult.
Dictatorship.
Does that make sense? If you want to die, how do they acknowledge your death? A death certificate. Who gives you the death certificate? The who allows and gives the stamp of approval to acknowledge that you are dead? Who's in charge of the state? Is it the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? I'll tell you, it's not our people.
That's right.
That make the final calls, it's not our people. Do the so-called Mexicans really have an army? Do the so-called Native Americans have an army? No, but if you go to China, does China have an army?
Yeah.
If you go out to Korea, the Koreans, do they have an army?
Yeah.
They do. So really think about the mindset that our nation is in as a whole. You may have one or two that may have made it to Congress, that may be in politics, but us as a nation, we do not have our own nation. Does that make sense? You following me, AJ?
The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far.
So it was prophesied, not only are you going to serve your enemies for food, water, everything that you need, right? But he said that the Most High God of heaven and earth was going to bring a nation against you from far. From not where you're at, but from far away, right? Read.
From the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flyeth.
from the end of the earth. You were looking at the sign earlier, right? We were all in Africa on the east side, right? But we all got to this side. The Aztec Empire was down here, right? When you were right here, a nation was brought against the so-called Mexicans from far. They weren't over in Mexico. They came from Europe. Wow. Who was sent against the so-called Aztecs? Who conquered them? The Spaniards, right? Right. You got the conquistadors. You look at the signs right here, right? The so-called Native Americans, the so-called Mexicans, Hispanics, the Mayans, the Incas. We were all conquered by the so-called white man, the conquistadors, right? So he sent a nation against us from far. The Most High God sent that nation. Read.
As swift as the eagle flieth.
As what?
As swift as the eagle flieth.
He said as swift, as fast as the eagle flieth. Now if you look, real quick, Mike, hold this real quick. If you look on the back of this sign, what nation of people have their symbol as the eagle?
Bring it out!
Say it again.
United States.
The United States is one. Okay, we got the American eagle. What about Rome?
Bring it out!
Rome has an eagle. You look at, what is this, Spanish? The Spaniards? You said you were conquered by the Spaniards, right? What was their symbol? The eagle. Right. It's the same with Greece. Now, what does all of these people have in common? Right. They're all the so-called white man, right? Right. Because they're not really right. They're not really white, right? Really, you look at them, they're red. You heard of redneck? Their blood shows through their skin.
British.
Right. So, but it's the same nation that was sent against you. And what did the Bible call them? Did he call them our friends?
Yeah.
Go back to verse 47. Read.
Verse 47. Because, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies.
Thy friend.
Thine enemies.
The person that loves you so much.
Thine enemies.
The Bible said that we would serve our enemies.
Right.
So the nation that conquered us, they're not our friends, right? When we go into churches, though, and they teach this Bible, who do they teach you that Jesus Christ is? They teach you that he looks like this, right? The so-called white man. Does that make sense? So when they came and they conquered the Aztecas, they gave you this image. They taught you that Christ is white, that God and his angels are white. But that's not the truth. The truth is you are the children of God. Hit Job 9:24. You are the children of God. I'm speaking to the children of God right now. You are from the nation of Israel.
Right.
You are a prince on this earth that has power with God and with men. But we didn't know it.
Bring it out!
We had no idea who we were. And God allowed it to happen because it said we didn't listen to his voice. We didn't keep his commandments. The Aztecas were worshiping false gods. Did you hear of blood sacrifices? They were worshiping the sun god.
That's right.
When we go to church on Sunday, we're worshiping the sun god.
Right.
So we're still caught in false gods. We have yet to come back to our God.
Yes.
Because our God is the one and only God, the living God, the God of Israel. That is our God. Go ahead and read.
The book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24.
Bring it out.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
So the Bible, it prophesied that the earth, you look around at the earth is given into the hand of the wicked. When something is in your hand, you have power over it, right? Who has power over the earth right now?
Bring it out,
No, I'm asking, who has power over the earth that can do whatever they want to do? Huh? I can barely, the wicked, right? But who is that? Who has power right now? Do the so-called Mexicans have power? Do the so-called Russians have power? They have a form of it, but who is really in control? Bro, United States of America is the nation that runs the entire earth, right or wrong? Who runs the United States of America? Who? You really think about it, we're talking nations, right? We're talking nations. United States of America. Do you think when we were conquered, because who was here first in North America? The Native Americans, right? What nation of people conquered the Native Americans?
British.
The British. What were they?
White.
The so-called white man, right? So-called white man conquered the Native Americans. They conquered the so-called Mexicans. Who brought the so-called blacks here in slavery? The so-called whites, right? It's all the same people. So if they conquered the Native Americans, do you think they just gave that power up? Who do you think's in control of America right now? The so-called white man is still running the earth right now. Read it again.
The earth.
Come deal with us, sis. If you got a question, come and deal with us. Read.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
So just like the sister said, yes, North America was the Native Americans. But because they broke God's laws, that's why we're in the bottom of society.
That's right.
Read it again.
The earth is given into the hands of the wicked.
It says the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. The earth is given to them, right? Read.
He covereth the faces of the judges thereof.
It says he covereth the faces of the judges thereof. You look right here, right? We were talking about this image. What happened with, this is Mary, Jesus Christ's mother. How did we get this image right here? What happened? How did it change? Her face was covered. Who covered it? You look over here, you have, who was it, Leonardo da Vinci? They're covering the faces. They have depictions. Christ was a black man. The judges of the earth was you.
Right.
The so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Americans. We have a God-given purpose on this earth to judge the earth righteously. We were put here to preserve the earth. But because we're not keeping God's laws, we are not able to judge God's earth the right way.
Right.
He covered the faces of the judges thereof. So the Aztecs were conquered, and you were given the name Mexican.
Right.
You were taught Spanish because you at one point were speaking Hebrew.
That's right.
You were never originally supposed to be speaking Spanish.
Right.
Does that make sense?
What club was that at?
That was admit that a lot of people don't even realize they.
I've called her. She hasn't responded. I've called her more than a few times.
With the Zulu nation, I'm like, what the hell is this? I know nobody know what I'm talking about. You'll leave me on the island by myself. I don't know what the hell Bishop's talking about. That's what y'all do. Then after class, yeah, I knew what you were talking about. I just don't want to be caught out there. The hell is this? Get on my damn nerves. So read that again, 31.
We used to scream black power while heroin was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision. The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are how men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.